the 3%, was it on? Is that why it's beeping?
It was beeping something else.
Yeah, it was something else. It's not
Something's
ours.
wrong or something.
Oh, okay.
It's not us.
I didn't know if I started.
You're fine.
Anyway, Kendrick Richmond to discuss the 3% local option excise tax for recreation and medical, or
Medicinal.
medicinal marijuana for the general election ballot discussion decision. First thing I wanna say, we're gonna run this meeting and it's gonna be, we're all gonna get along and go through this good. If it gets out of hand, this gets shut down. That's for everybody, so. Go ahead, Kendrick.
Well, I originally brought the 3% tax for recreational, but in the last meeting, I was enlightened that y'all had discussed both rec and medical in December and tabled it for whatever reason. I don't necessarily agree with putting it on 3% for the medical because they already pay to get the privilege of having that, and you don't necessarily tax prescription drugs. So kind of was
They're
just
not
thinking
prescription drugs.
it's medical marijuana, ma'am. So it's a medical product endorsed by the state and is provided to people who pay a service,
Okay, let's just one at a
pay a
time.
service
It's
to
not
be,
prescribed, it's recommended.
okay, well, you get a green card from the state of Montana through the Cannabis Control Division, Department of Revenue.
Sorry, it's my fault. I shouldn't-
Okay.
And I was just trying to establish that I was bringing the 3% tax for
Okay, we're gonna stop
recreational,
right now. We're
and
gonna
that's,
take a big deep breath, we're gonna start over, okay? So
Okay.
we're all just, let's stay calm. Alright, go
Well,
ahead.
just one thing I wanna say is you can't recommend the commission not to put it medical on if they choose to.
I'm fine
Okay.
with either.
Oh,
or
okay,
both.
no, you just can't give us public, you just give us public.
I'm just giving my
Yeah.
spiel that I kinda gave last week and was enlightened that y'all had talked about it before, so I'm conceding, but I'm just giving my position, which is what I'm allowed to do, correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I've given my position.
it's alright, we're gonna get through this.
I mean, it's not rocket science, we just want 3% of recreational to allow it to go for tourism dollars to help the county, period. That's what we're here for.
Okay.
And 2 separate initiatives if you wanna do it. I don't wanna lump them together if possible, because they're not the same.
It has to be 2 separate ballot
Good,
issues. It
that's
could be
all.
the same resolution by the commission, but it's definitely 2 separate ballots by statute.
I agree with that, thank you. That's it.
Okay, any comments on this?
I think before public comment, shouldn't we comment on it first? Or
Well, I'd like to know why, at this time, you wanna put the 3% on the recreation.
To capture tourism dollars, cause the county needs money, don't they?
I mean, it's not even, it won't be legal at that time, so how can you put that on?
Well, I'm doing a ballot initiative to put it back on for the 3rd time right now. This is the 3rd time. We will be making history if we approve this to be the first county in Montana history to approve, repeal, and then approve recreational sales. It's already been approved by the state. No?
Yeah,
I'm listening.
Right.
The law says you can opt out. The
Of
county's
course,
gonna opt out.
agreed. So, and the wording in the ballot language last time during the primary was very confusing, and I had many people come into my store, said they voted yes, thinking they were voting for marijuana, in fact, they were voting for the prohibition thereof. So it was confusing, sir, and the margin was thin enough to justify it.
How you doing with signatures?
I got 50 signatures I'm turning in after this meeting. And then we have Valley Days this weekend and a week after that to collect. Got people in Drummond collecting as we speak.
So it looks to me like it's just to cause confusion, cause it's gonna cause confusion. If you-
Like, for example,
Let him finish, okay?
I'm
Trying
ju-
to
I'm-
keep
no,
it-
no, no, I'm just,
The wording's probably gonna be, it'll cause confusion and people, well, maybe it's already accepted, maybe, you know, maybe we're already doing recreational, they don't know. I mean, if you said they were confused on the last ballot, I think they're really gonna be confused on this ballot, if it was on there, if for recreational. Now, I could go medical, like, you know, for 3%. But I just can't see it.
Okay, go ahead and answer.
well, you know, the whole premise behind the initiative for me in this time is that the language is clear. It's something that a 4th grader should be able to look at and discern what we're trying to accomplish here. Whereas the ballot initiative on the 7th and the vote was very confusing. So I just wanna run it back and let people vote on it in clear, plain terms, because like I said, it was confusing. I even know that people that were going out getting the signatures came back and said they wanted to change the language because it was confusing. So I'm just trying to do something that's fair, easy to understand, and not confusing, so that people can make a educated and informed decision and not be hit with double negatives on ballot initiatives.
So they should be left off. The recreational 3% excise tax should not be on the ballot because it'll be confusing.
That's up to y'all.
And another thing, I can't remember ever voting for an if something passes. I can't remember ever.
Well, I thought this thing passed in 2020, but now here we sit as it being repealed, so I didn't expect to move here and have that happen, but it did. So, I mean, I'm just trying to give the people the chance to put it back on because I think they deserve it. And I don't want to disadvantage Granite County people and make them drive with $5 gas to Missoula or Butte, when I can provide it 3 minutes out of the town and 20 minutes from Drummond.
So are you gonna be the only vendor?
I'm the only
So you think
marijuana
you can
dispensary
guarantee
in
you're-
Granite County right now.
So you can guarantee you're gonna be the only vendor at Rescheduled?
I can't guarantee anything. If I did that, I would be omnipotent and I would be God.
So there could be four marijuana shops right down here in town?
They don't allow them in the town, sir.
Hmm?
You're not allowed to be in the town. The population doesn't allow for it.
It has to be out.
It'd have to be a special election and the town would actually have to vote on it. So, no, we can't go into town. We're outside of the city limits. Do you know where our shop is? Do you know where my store is?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking because a lot of people don't seem to know where my store is. So I'm just asking because it's a seriously honest question that I'm asking, if you know where my store is. Because a lot of people don't.
Blaine?
Not defending the ballot language from June, but that was the statutory language, so that, I guess if there's an issue with it, it's the issue with the statute, I'd say that. And the other issue too, that looked into the, if it passes, that language. Dawson County had it last time. I talked to the Department of Revenue's attorney, they said it's fine. I agree with it. I mean, there's a distinction between the legal versus the political, and I think you're getting into why it shouldn't be as a political reason, and I'm not getting into that. I just think wanted to clarify that the Department of Revenue does believe it's legal to do.
I did look up Dawson County, I couldn't find it in the last one.
That was the Department of Revenue's attorney told me that. She might have said the wrong county.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did a lot of other counties around there. I mean, she might have just,
Yeah.
might have been up in Fryhead or something, but I couldn't find it.
Okay.
So did you have anything to say?
I'm just trying to keep it.
Okay, so on the, so the confusing ballot language was, I understand when Sarah went through the Secretary of State's office, was the way the petition was written, and they had to write it the way the petition was written. And even the group was saying that it was confusing, and I was asked, this language is confusing, and that was by one of the group members, which that in itself, it was confusing, that's the only thing. So you're coming forward with a petition that is simplified, and apparently he has legal rights to do that. Is that correct, Blaine?
Yeah, you can, right now, there's no time limit for petitions, so you can be a revolving door for the
Right.
moment.
Right,
The law may change, but he needs the requisite
right.
signatures to get it actually on the ballot.
Okay, so let's just recap just a little bit. On December 7th, we had the ballot issues on the agenda with a resolution, and it was just Chuck and myself that were here, and so Chuck was against it, I was for it, and so we decided that we'd wait until next week for the second reading, and then we decided at that second reading, you were here then, and we decided that, okay, we would not put this on the primary ballot. We would not put these issues on there, because the group requested that It was confusing, they didn't want it on there, and so we said, okay, and then I made a request that I wanted the medical on the general election anyway. And the reason I said this is, looking it up, where you said it's medicine, you don't tax medicine. Well, it's actually still considered Schedule I controlled substance drug. It's actually the only thing that's approved by the FDA is for 2 very rare severe forms of epilepsy. And providers will not prescribe it, they only recommend it. And you can only find a few that will recommend it. You get your card, then you go, and I've done my research on this, so I'm just saying that this is what it is. So what it's used for is these, like for nausea and muscle spasms, MS, mental disorders, glaucoma and epilepsy, but it's not proven. But what it would do, I'd understand, because it's marijuana, it might numb the brain a little bit and you're not thinking of the pain you're in. This is where I'm considering, my opinion, and but it's not proven that it helps, okay? In that instance, that's where I say medical should be on the ballot, okay? But we decided that not to do the ballot issues, and it was because the group requested us. So this is a two-way street. We have another person coming in with his ballot language that he's putting on, that he's requesting us to put the issues on there. So being a two-way street and we would want to know how the support would be going from the community, whether or not to put this on the ballot. He has every right to say, yes, I want it on the ballot, just like the group said, no, we don't want it confusing. He's saying, I want it on there because I want them to sign it. That's his right, just like your group had your right, so that's all I'm saying for that. But
Who's his group? Who's his
well,
group?
it's not his group, it's not just
I'm just confused
the
about what your group is.
anti-distribution group.
Okay,
I guess we can call it that.
fair enough. I
Okay,
just
not
was
your group.
trying to understand.
Okay, so in a nutshell, you need to get the required signatures.
Right.
You have to by the 5th, correct?
Eighth.
Oh, the 8th, right, Monday at 5 o'clock.
I don't know yet. I'm turning about 50 in today, so I'm sitting officially on 160,
So you have to get 401 signatures, registered voters,
375.
375?
That is the number I was told.
Okay, all right, so 375. If you don't get those 375, then it's moot.
It is.
What I would like, and why I'm asking for these resolutions to be on, because they need to be on before in the timeline for us to get them on the ballot. I would say on the 2nd, there will be the first reading of these resolutions, both medical, both recreational, and on the 9th, if you don't have your signatures, reject the whole resolution. Only because it's fair to you, like it was fair to you guys, saying that it was confusing. We wouldn't want to confuse the voters. This is saying he wants them, and he has every right to ask that, is what I'm saying.
I can ask that. You know, I go for medical, if you want that on the ballot, I mean,
But, okay, here's another thing, medical, we'd have to say no to both of them, because he's saying he would close his doors, because...
Did I say that?
Yeah, last week you said you'd have to close your doors.
I never said that.
Yes, you
You
did.
said
I said that we would be medical, like we were in
I'd be
June.
out of business. You didn't
Well,
say-
you're gonna be taking away 80% of my business, so
Well,
the
that's-
boss might pick us up and move us, or we may try to come into town, or we may just close, I don't know.
I could find the timeline where you did say,
We-
because I wrote it
Well,
down.
it's not up to me.
Okay.
It's
Hey,
not
hey,
up to
hey,
me.
Okay.
It's not up to me.
Settle down.
It's,
Okay.
no, I'm just saying, it is not my decision personally.
What you said, came out of your mouth,
Okay, sure.
that if if this didn't pass, you would have to close your doors because you could not make it on medical marijuana. Because your
That's
sales were 75%.
Right, yes, that's possible. Now, if the boss wants to keep it here in hopes that it comes back, or the initiative or whatever, if we do get the signatures and recreational comes back, then we may
Right.
stay, obviously.
Right.
Because then hopefully if it does get the signatures and the people do vote and it does pass, we're looking far into the future now, but if, then why would we move?
If not, then we would reject this, and,
Right,
because it'd be senseless to put it on a
sure,
ballot,
absolutely.
is what. I'm
Agreed.
saying.
Whether it's medic, it'd be
Not even
saying-
medical, because he's saying that he'd have to, yeah, okay, sorry.
So if he didn't get it, and then then it'd be both off of it, medical
I would
and-
say both,
See, this is where I get frustrated, I don't, or,
because what, like you were saying that, okay, what, you told us last week, what is your daily, sales?
So yes, do you want me to answer the question or to let him talk?
well, she asked you a question.
Well, then I'm
Go
just
ahead, and then we'll
confused
go to
because
the
I don't
top.
wanna
I'm just
be
trying to keep this
reprimanded and told I'm talking out of turn, that's all.
all- No, I'm
Okay,
keep
am
it-
I allowed to speak now?
Well, I think I was still speaking, I would have didn't
Okay,
say
well then
much.
I'll shut up.
No, but I asked you the question.
Okay, so you want me to dance?
It's okay, settle down.
I'm sorry, no, okay. We may, like I said, this isn't my decision. I am not a CEO of Top Shelf Botanicals. I am merely the store manager. My boss has told me there are plenty of options for us available should this resolution not pass. We could do a special election to see if we could go into the town of Phillipsburg since they voted us in 205 to 130. We could pick our shop up and go to Georgetown Lake and be right outside the line. That's another option. We could just stay. I don't know. Those are the three options that are available to us as I have been explained to them by the CEO of our company.
What?
But I don't have any say in any of those
You didn't
decisions.
answer my question. What's your daily take?
1,000 a day, approximately. So 252,000 a year.
So in your first quarter, you made how much? So you
Ballpark,
figured $250,000 you're bringing in a year.
252 approximately,
So
about
you
1,000 a
report
day.
quarterly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, so,
Is that where the
That's
seven?
recreational?
well, that's in the store total, but it's about 80% rec, yeah.
80%, right?
Yeah, 75 to 80% recreational.
And
is
that's
what
where
we're-
that $7,000 to $9,000.
Yeah, that's where the 75 to about 10,000 would come for the 4% on recreational, should we get the thing, you know,
4%
pass
or
the
3%?
initial. 3%, yeah, 3%, yeah.
I'm
sorry.
just trying to keep.
Yeah, no, it's a lot, it's, you know, but,
So what are we talking, $10,000?
well, that's if I stay on the current $1,000. If recreational is allowed to stay, see, right now, everybody thinks that we're closed, and some people think that we can't even sell rec right now, because somebody's out there telling them that we're closing down and this and that, so people are confused about everything anyway. But we could still sell rec until September 4th, right? Okay, so, by that measure, everybody's buying more because they think we may be leaving. So, obviously, my store has done very well in the last week because the pretense is that we may or may not be leaving. I don't know. It's just, you know, but we are employing local people. We're providing taxes, you know, currently. And if this thing happens, and I can't get signatures, it may be a devastating enough blow to have my CEO say, we gotta do something. So, you know, just disadvantaging business.
You mentioned somebody else owns this company. Who owns this company?
Acme Management Group.
Who?
Acme Management Group,
Where are they from?
they're in Montana, they're out based in Bozeman.
So it's a whole big thing, huh? That's the-
A company, yes, it is a company like many others in the state, yes, sir. A company that tries to be profitable, by the way, and does, you know, has 12, 13 stores throughout the state. So we're like other businesses trying to operate and be profitable and provide a service. Yes, that's what we are trying to do. It's not a whole big thing, it's just a company.
Well, it seems,
Okay, well, Blanche was that.
Oh, no, he can finish. Go ahead.
it seems to me like we're gonna make laws for one company or one outfit. Cause of whatever best for him, or whatever best for them. Shouldn't we be doing it, this is hard to grasp and all, but for the good of the county, I mean.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do by bringing the tax dollars to the county. That's the whole point of the initiative, is to put 3% on for the tax.
$10,000?
Okay,
Okay, go ahead, Blanche. Are you?
so the
So-
reason.
Let everybody-
Not enough money?
I just, before we open it to public comment, and the reason I'm in favor of getting the resolution for these ballot issues is that we get them on the general ballot, it's not gonna cost the county anything. So we get them on the general ballot if you get the correct amount of signatures. Then but if we wait and have a special levy, it's gonna cost money, a lot for a special election. I mean, that's,
I'm with you on that. If we're
Okay.
if he can get the signatures, cause I don't wanna be having to come up with a special election,
Okay.
then it's gonna, that's.
or we wait 2 years and get it on the
Yeah,
next
if you're talking
general.
about next year, but if it gets on there by petition, then the petitioners would be on the hook for the election.
For the next election.
If there's a petition where they ask for a special election, the petitioners would have to
Pay for
pay
it all.
for it,
Yeah.
yes.
Even
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
okay, and with the distribution of these excise taxes, 50% goes to the county, 45% goes to the municipalities, and 5% goes to the Department of Revenue. So that in itself, and what is where I'm coming from,
Is that on medical or? is
that's
that
on both, if we taxed both. Like, right now, the state taxes 20% on recreational and 4% on medical. And then they have, when you go and look at where it's distributed, at the bottom line, it says general fund. So you know, that's,
We're gonna.
it goes into the general fund,
We kinda took
leftover.
over here, and then I think the public needs to have a say here. So, come on up.
My name is Heidi Hinkle.
You're gonna have to speak up just a little bit. 'cause
Okay.
we're on this.
My name is Heidi Hinkle. First of all, I'd like to say that saying that the language on the ballot was confusing is wrong. We had many signs up, big signs that told people how to vote. We went around door to door, made calls, told people how to vote. We had ads in the paper, and we also had letters to the editor. We had people that told people. So saying if there's a few people that thought it was confusing, that was not the case. Okay, so this county, Granite County, voted to prohibit the sale of recreational marijuana in this county starting in September due to a grace period. So that's what they voted. So it is currently, starting September, illegal to sell recreational marijuana in Granite County. So I'm trying to figure out how can you vote to put a 3% sales tax on recreational marijuana when it is right now illegal to sell it. Now, you talked about in December, when we talked about the putting the sales tax on the primary. The reason why we wanted to wait for the outcome of the primary election, rather than put it on, and if we won, then you wouldn't need it. But we wanted, that was the whole reason of not putting it on the primary, was to wait to see what the outcome of the primary election was. Okay, it wasn't just because we wanted it. It was to wait to see how people voted in this county. Okay, so this county was voted out, the sale of recreational marijuana was voted out, so there should not be any sales tax vote in November. I mean, it was voted out. People spoke, they voted. I think putting it on the election again is a disgrace to our election system. They don't care how the voters of this county voted unless it is in agreement with them. They want to strong arm you into doing what they want, despite what the voters in this county voted in June. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a big slap in the face to our county voters and our voting system. If you vote to put a sales tax on something that is currently illegal in our county, then you are telling our voters you don't give a crap about their vote in the primary. It did not have any meaning in your eyes. I mean, the people said, yes, prohibit the sale of recreational marijuana. So more or less, if you put the sales tax on, right now, you're saying that you don't care how they voted. So I'm hoping that you will side with Granite County voters and how they voted in the June primary. I think it's wrong. I've had many people tell me, why are we voting again? You know, it just isn't right. So, you know, as for marijuana, the medical, I'm fine with that. You know, I understand people may need it. But recreation right now is illegal in this county. And the voters spoke. And that's who I want to stand up for, is our voting system.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Hold on, she has a
I have
comment.
a comment, well, just a comment on your comment. You're correct, but the turnout for the primary was what, 56%? And 51% voted yes, they wanted prohibited, and 46% voted no, they want recreational marijuana. So you're not saying you can't say the whole county turned out to vote for this because only 56% did.
No, I'm just saying, whoever voted, the vote was won.
Right, and what you're also saying is that he doesn't have a constitutional right to bring it forward.
He can do it,
Okay,
but
so
I don't
that's-
think it's right, my own opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we're saying,
Yeah.
and
Don't do that.
Okay.
And I'm mostly talking about that 3% sales tax right now.
We're gonna have respect in here, okay?
I'm
Yeah.
being respectful, I appreciate the
Well, not
opportunity to
constitutional
vote.
right, statutory right.
Statutory right. Sorry.
Yeah, give it a right, give it a right.
I stayed
So
right.
more or less, I'm talking about the 3% sales tax.
Excise
What
tax,
happens with the petition, that's a whole nother subject, so that's what I'm trying to talk about right here, because that's what it was on the agenda.
Thank you.
So Heidi, one more question, you'd be okay with us putting, an excise tax on medical marijuana on
Yes.
this general
Yes.
ballot?
Because that's legal right
Okay.
now in our county, yes.
Okay.
Oh, Rick, come on up.
Basically, I like with that too. Rick McGill, for the record. A question though on the division of medical and recreational, the sales tax. If the signatures don't produce the question on recreational marijuana, will you still be able to put the sales tax for medical on the ballot this fall?
Can you answer that?
Yeah, if the commission could do that by resolution, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
All
Just
right.
solely medical marijuana, yes.
And I think that'd be fine.
Chuck?
Well, we'd have to do it now, wouldn't we?
Yes.
So
that's
the,
what we-
yeah, resolutions would have to be on, like Blanche said, potentially second and 9th of, August would be the, because it have to have notice to Secretary of State by August 15th, that's the deadline to the Secretary of State.
Okay, good. The other comment that I had is just in general, is that when you're doing legislation, you're doing it for the future. And yes, I know there's concern with supporting local businesses, and I totally understand that. What your vision is to anticipate other businesses coming in. And whether that's right or wrong, whether this passes, he could be the first of many. And he's trying to be responsible local business. They've cleaned up the look of their place in there. You can't anticipate what another business would do. A lot of the opinions in the newspaper that we published were concerned about the look that has happened in other jurisdictions. So what you're really doing is having a vision for what could be the future if you pass recreational marijuana dispensaries. Could be
I guess I
detrimental.
don't understand what you're saying.
I'm sorry?
I don't understand what you're saying about his,
Recreational?
no, I understand now, but what are you talking about, his place?
Yeah, I was curious about that.
I'm asking,
Thank you.
It's all mowed.
it shouldn't be?
No, I'm saying it looks pretty presentable.
Oh.
That's all.
Yes, I
It was a
did.
compliment.
I
Take it or
figured out where
leave
that
it.
was going. I'm sorry, this is wrong.
That's all I have. I just had that question of clarification on the medical tax versus the recreational tax, and if you could still go forward with the medical tax, and that'd be beneficial for the county. That's all. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Is there any on the
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Gail.
Thank you, Commissioners. So, I would just say the solution for the time-sensitive resolution to get it on the ballot is a very good one by not passing the second reading, because it would be a moot point, if the signatures did not all get established. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, Mayor Daniel Reddish.
sorry, Elena,
As the commissioners are aware, I don't think Commissioner Hinkle was here last week. I sort of gave you my brief outline. I asked a few questions about the current situation with respect to both medical and recreational marijuana and the dispensary out on the highway. I asked a question as to whether or not there was any problems vis-a-vis calls for 9/11, law enforcement, or anything along those lines. The indication was there was none. I wish that I could say that about my bars in town. Not the same thing. When we speculate about the future and what something like this might mean, I think that it's important for us to recognize that we've had over a year of a beta test. It's already been existing. And in terms of my town, I haven't seen anything demonstrably, objectively negative to it, necessarily. So all I can do is base my opinions on what I've observed over the last year. And with respect to all due respect to Councilman Hinkle here, or excuse me, Commissioner Hinkle, I'll take the 10 grand every day. That's 2 or 3 fire hydrants for me. I want fire hydrants in manholes. If I get some of this money, it's going right back into the ground for practical reasons, not a special interest, the most common of common interest, which is infrastructure. I'm scraping and pulling and trying to keep water literally in town. So nickels and dimes matter to me. And so with respect to how you want to proceed with this, my understanding is that you're talking about potentiality of putting it on as an excise tax, is that correct? For both medical and recreational, or perhaps just medical? I want to understand where we're at here, because there's the topic of the situation that's already occurring and what might happen in the future. So also, I would reflect on what Commissioner McClure said with respect to turnout. That's a problem nationwide. It really is. And so consequently, the general election ballot is where I think people express themselves, obviously. And one other thought I had, that it's my personal belief that if we forbid this in the county, that is not going to stop illegal sales. It's just not. And in terms of illegal sales, there is no oversight with respect to the product. And so I would hate like that to have something happen in the future where there was an illegal sale that happened and the individual did this stuff and it was laced with fentanyl because it was not regulated. I guess I'm a practical person, I have practical considerations and all this kind of stuff. While I acknowledge people's concerns about it, I just haven't observed anything negative. And maybe it's because I haven't been paying attention, but certainly I haven't seen anything in that regard. And we need the money, so thank you for the time.
thank you for the comment. Go ahead, Chuck, and then I got Elena, you're next, Elena, after Chuck finishes that. What's next after Chuck answers?
I thought this was public comment,
It is, but he was gonna ask him a
but he's
question.
not public.
I just told him he could talk, is that all right? I said he'd be
Yeah,
next.
you're as
You'll
chair,
have
you
time.
can decide.
I said I'd get to you, I'm not skipping you.
Okay.
So put this excise tax on recreational, would that increase the illegal sales because we don't want to be paying the taxes? That's what's happened in other places I've read, and it leads to more black market.
I don't know.
I can't speak to that.
Well,
I've been here long enough
perfectly obvious.
to,
You can get it cheaper from your neighbor,
Would you hold this
why would you pay the excise tax?
well, you can grow on your own, so hopefully that would inhibit some of the black market things, but there's gonna be black market anywhere, even in Colorado and California. I mean, the Sinaloas just took.
Exactly, so you're admitting there's gonna be black markets here in this county.
There's gonna be black markets anywhere in the world, sir. anywhere in the world where there is a demand, there is gonna be a black market. So let's just bring that to the forefront. If there's a need, there will be demand and it will be met, whether it be by regulated and federally
want us
done
to
things,
approve
or,
the black
I'm
market.
talking,
Hey,
I'm talking.
I'm running a meeting.
But I'm
Hey,
talking.
Tell me, I just told him.
Okay, well then I'll shut up then.
No, I just told him to quit. So
Okay,
but you're gonna lower it down.
I'll lower it down, but you're going to get black market in any business instance where there is a need, period. So it's brought to the forefront with drugs and illegalities, of course, but it's in any business. When when there's a hurricane, don't you hear about pirating on water and things of consumables because of disasters? People have black markets. It is not anything new.
All right, wait, Elena, I promised her.
Okay, go ahead.
No, listen to him.
Well,
He's still,
I just, one sentence, I will concede that there's no perfect solution to this, that's not a perfect world.
It's not.
I believe that the whole process as it evolved in terms of legalization is an attempt to try to make it realistic and reasonable, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Elena.
thank you, Elena Gagliano, for the record. I have to agree. First of all, I support it being on the ballot again. I have no problem with the people making a decision. I agree with a number of the points that the mayor from Phillipsburg brought up. Yeah, it would be black market, and you don't know what they're selling in the black market. Or you'll just have people going over to a county where it is legal. Something was brought up, it says that in this county, it's prohibited. When did that happen? It was legal, that's why we have this gentleman selling it in Granite County. So when did it become illegal? As far as the wording on that ballot in the primary, yes, it was confusing. Even for myself, and I'm not an idiot. I had to get clarification from several people. This gentleman, as well as other law people, and they said it is confusing, double negative. I was at the function Friday night at the theater, which was a really nice function, where we got more signatures, 50 I believe. And the people that came in from Granite County said the same thing. It was totally confusing. And they signed the petition to get it on the ballot. Now, a point of clarification, if they don't get the required number of signatures, then would it be up to the commissioners to put it on the ballot? From your own decision, which I think you should and I think you can, and leave it to the people to speak.
They did?
Because, again, if somebody, I heard they did, when was it made illegal in this county?
When the vote was cast,
Which vote?
the primary vote,
This last one?
yeah.
That's the wording that was totally confusing. People didn't want this marijuana to be prohibited.
That's your opinion.
No, it isn't. Commissioner, I just said, you're calling me a liar, right? I
He
just
did not
said
call
that
you a liar.
excuse
Don't
me,
put that in
excuse
there.
me,
We're-
excuse
He did not call you a liar, so stop,
I
stop
can
that.
say that.
Stop that.
He did not say that, and I don't want that in there.
he said that's my opinion.
That's not calling you a liar.
Give your public comment.
Excuse me,
Give your
didn't
public
I
comment, we're
just,
not getting into an
for the
argument.
record,
This
and
one
can you
has-
repeat what I said about, for the record, can you repeat what I said about being at that
No.
meeting
no,
on
no.
Friday night? Okay, then I'll repeat it.
No.
I was there collecting signatures, and a number of people that came up from Granite County agreed. They voted, and they agreed that the wording was confusing, and they signed the petition again. Okay?
Okay, we heard
Those
that.
50 that we got, most of them said we were confused.
We heard that.
Thank you. Well, apparently, Mr. Hinkle didn't.
Hey, hey, hey,
Hey, right, thank you.
you're done.
Oh, I know that. I would be muted if I was listening in.
This,
Alright,
I'm not
so
gonna
he said
put
you're
up
done,
with this.
Elena, stop.
Because who I am.
I said you're done, you're
You
gonna
want me
be
to call the
asked to
sheriff?
leave.
Let's cool
No,
down.
well, no, don't tell
No,
me,
if
because
he-
I.
I'm the only one they'll call the sheriff on.
Don't
For the record.
cool down.
Huh? Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Well, you should.
I'm fine. I do,
Okay, you have your hand raised.
I can't believe we're really talking about this, to put an excise tax on recreational marijuana when they admit there's a black market.
Okay,
So this commission is supposed to approve a more of a black market. I mean, that's ridiculous. What does county come to?
Who's that
I mean,
on?
what's happened to this county?
okay, Lance,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion. Are we done with public comment?
Well, I'll
Yes,
just,
no, we're done with.
You've already had your
Okay.
public
We're
comment.
moving on.
I haven't
Oh,
had
you
one.
haven't.
my wife has it.
I didn't call her, okay?
Well, my wife is gonna speak.
She's right behind you, I just pointed at her to talk.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna shut this off. Go
Please
ahead.
don't shut it off. Go ahead.
Justine Richmond, for the record. I don't see any harm in letting the people vote on an issue. I'm not sure why we want to stifle the public's opinion. I recommend that you have 2 separate ballot issues. Should we get enough signatures for the recreational sales petition? One for or against the recreational tax, and one for or against the medical tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead,
I'd like to make a motion.
go ahead.
Is there any more public comment?
No, oh,
Sorry, real quick.
yeah.
Rick McGill. The question on the June primary was, shall recreational marijuana dispensaries be prohibited in Granite County? Don't know how confusing that could be. Yes or no? Shall they be prohibited? People voted yes for them to be prohibited, and that's how the vote worked out. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Now we're done with public comment. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we put 2 ballot issues on a resolution. One for if he gets his signatures, however that should be written, for recreational marijuana, and the other one for ballot language for an excise tax on medical marijuana. And we need to get the resolution by the 2nd of August for the first reading.
Can I ask you something? Okay, so if we do this, he has to have, by putting it on, he has to have these signatures by next week.
He has
I'm just trying
until,
to get the dates right.
he has until, okay, this is where we have 2 readings of the
Yeah.
resolution.
I understand that.
So we read it the 2nd, and if he doesn't get his signatures by the 8th, then I say reject, and I'm saying reject both. Because he's saying that it wouldn't be feasible for us to do a ballot issue for the medical, because he doesn't make enough money.
Well, I'll never support that. I mean, you can't vote if. How are we voting an if? And if it passes? I mean, it's just totally confusing, and we gotta leave that out.
Okay, so let the
But-
voter decide. And the language by Blaine
But they
says
already
yes,
decided,
Okay.
it's illegal now.
Oh, that's not.
not until September 4th.
Well, yeah, then it'll be.
And then, okay, we're arguing here. I made my motion, you're against it, what do
I'm
you
about
say?
to leave. I got, sorry.
And just,
You can't
so this is
talk.
what I'm saying, on the 2nd, read it. We're not gonna know whether he's got his signatures, and maybe he'll have his signatures and can turn them in by the 2nd. If he doesn't have his signatures by the 9th, by the 8th, by the 9th, we can reject it. I would say reject it, not put it on. But the reason we have to get it on is because this is our last opportunity before,
And this is for medical and.
yes. Yes.
Okay. I'll second.
We agree, no,
He seconded.
we agreed
He
in
seconded.
the last ballot, or before the ballot, that we weren't gonna do that. We weren't gonna put it on, we would let the people decide.
Now
The
there's
people
another,
decided.
there's another issue coming on the ballot,
The
another
peop-
one for it.
But yeah, well, then let them get the signatures, let them get the vote, and then what we do,
Well, I think
whatever
that's why
we
we-
have to do.
That's why we'd have to put it on the resolution, so we can.
Get it on, we need it on, and you're saying no.
No, but after, if they get it back to being legal, then you can deal with it. You don't deal with something that's not there. It's not legal. After September 4th, it's not
You
legal.
did the same thing that something wasn't there when you said that we couldn't put it on the ballot for the ballot issues for the excise taxes. It's the same difference that you did on December 7th.
So
I can even give you the timeline.
So somebody with the hospital levy, somebody could put a petition in to say, though, if the hospital levy passes, we wanna do something else.
Okay,
Can you do that? Can you do that if say,
What would be the question if the
That's what I'm-
hospital levy
I think
passes?
the guys need to put it on, because I'm.
yeah.
Sorry, Wayne.
I mean, it blows my mind that you're voting on it. Okay. Well, you know where I'm at.
So you second it?
Yeah, because I think it should be put on, because of medical now, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carried back.
Calm down, calm down,
Yeah, thanks for standing up for the voters.
calm down.
Yeah. We're here.
Yeah.
Report?
I have a store to open, so